How much can we tell about an ancient culture or civilization from the artifacts they leave behind? Sometimes the answer to that question is quite a lot. On other occasions, the artifacts only serve to deepen the mystery that surrounds ancient cultures that we barely understand. Even when an artifact is challenging or mysterious, though, the story behind it is often fascinating. Stick around for this video and we'll prove it. The variety of goods that have been found in Egyptian tombs over the years means that archaeologists have never been quite sure what they're going to find when they open one up. Even archaeologists who'd learned to expect the unexpected were surprised by the discovery of a wooden toe attached to the foot of a mummy that was recently unearthed from the hillside tombs of Sheikh Abd Qurna near Luxor, though. A detailed analysis of the ancient prosthesis, which is thought to be around 3,000 years old, has revealed that it was reshaped and refitted many times over many years, presumably in an attempt to make it easier to wear for the woman who owned it. The degree of skill on display in the manufacture of the toe is impressive. It's anatomically perfect and comes with a comfortable adjustable leather strap to keep it affixed to the foot. It won't surprise you to hear that this is the oldest prosthesis ever discovered anywhere in the world, and it's a reminder that Egyptian scientists and doctors were hundreds of years ahead of their time. Our next story is also about a mummy, but not a mummy of the kind you'll find in Egypt. Instead, this mummy was found in Peru in November 2021 and was buried in a fashion that archaeologists haven't come across before. The body was discovered bound by ropes, with its hands covering its face as if the person were weeping. The archaeologists who made the discovery in an underground tomb on the outskirts of Lima believe the remains to be those of a person who died a little over 800 years ago. They belonged to a small, mostly unknown culture that lived high in the Andes. The first thought of some experts upon seeing the body is that the person had been tied up as a punishment and possibly buried alive. But a more forensic examination has suggested that this is unlikely to be the case. Instead, the unusual positioning of the body is likely to have been connected to the culture's burial customs. Unfortunately, we know next to nothing about these people, so we can't even guess what motivated them to bury their dead like this. We associate crucifixion with the ancient Romans, and more specifically, with the fate of Jesus Christ. It's harder to imagine crucifixions being carried out in the British Isles, but in December 2021, archaeologists in Cambridgeshire, England, discovered the first direct physical evidence of the execution method taking place there. At a site earmarked for a new housing development, the team found a 1900-year-old skeleton with a nail driven through its heel bone. The skeleton is that of a man aged between 25 and 35, who was found buried with his arms crossed over his chest. Discoveries like this are rare because the victims of crucifixion rarely receive proper burials. This particular example is even rarer because, contrary to what many people believe, crucifixion was usually carried out using ropes instead of nails because it was easier. In fact, it's so rare that this is the first recorded hard evidence of crucifixion in Northern Europe, and only the fourth in the entire world. It's thought that the Romans used crucifixion as an execution method only for slaves, anti-Roman rebels, and those of the lower classes during their occupation of Britain. So it's fair to assume that this unfortunate man came from one of those groups. We've already seen a prosthetic toe, and now we're going to take a look at a prosthetic hand. This stunning bronze hand, complete with a gold foil bracelet around the wrist, was found on a plateau in the shadow of the Alps in Priels, Switzerland, in early 2019. Fortunately for scientists, the gold foil was attached to the hand with vegetable glue, which made it possible to carry out radiocarbon dating. Those tests revealed the hand to be a little over 3,500 years old. Nothing like the hand, which was found buried alongside a small bronze dagger, has ever been found in Europe before. What's even stranger is that a human skeleton was found very close to the buried hand, and archaeologists think the two finds are connected. We say it's strange because the skeleton still had both of its hands attached, although one of the hands was missing a finger. For that reason, although we've described it as a prosthetic, we have to consider the possibility that the hand had a symbolic meaning, rather than a practical purpose. It would likely have been too delicate an object to be much use as a functional prosthetic anyway. When someone is especially adept at talking their way out of trouble or persuading people to let them have their own way, we say that they have a golden tongue. Here's a discovery that takes that phrase and makes it literal. In December 2021, archaeologists confirmed the discovery of 3 mummies with golden tongues inside a Greco-Roman tomb inside the ancient city of Oxyrhynchus, Egypt. The limestone tomb dates to the 26th dynasty, making the find about 2,500 years old. One of the mummies was found in far better condition than the other 2, still in possession of its hair and soft tissues, but all 3 had a tongue-shaped leaf of gold foil placed in their mouths. This wasn't the first such discovery in Egypt in 2021. In February, a gold-tongued skeleton was found 250 miles away at a burial site in Alexandria. Archaeologists think that the tongues are connected to a Roman belief that the living have a responsibility to ensure that the dead can speak fluently when they're trying to negotiate their pathway to eternal life after death. If that's correct, the friends and relatives of these 3 people must have decided they needed a little help in that regard. The Palestinian city of Jericho is the oldest continually occupied settlement in the world. It's a place of ancient wonder, and it's also where you'll find one of the world's largest floor mosaics. The mosaic is hidden inside Hisham's palace, and in October 2021, it was re-revealed to the public after years of repair and restoration work. The mosaic looks almost like an enormous carpet, covering an area of just under 9,000 square feet and containing more than 5 million individual pieces of stone. It was first created during the 8th century. There are countless different images within the artwork, including lions attacking deer as a symbol of war and 2 gazelles symbolizing peace. All of the stone used in the mosaic was locally sourced in Palestine. The ancient palace was completely forgotten in Jericho until archaeologists rediscovered it in the late 19th century. And even then, it took until the 1930s to clear away enough dust and debris to reveal the patterned floor. The restoration project, which is understood to have been funded by Japanese well-wishers, cost about $12 million. Archaeology can feel like a glamorous job when you're breaking into a treasure-laden tomb, but not so much when you're examining ancient human feces. Someone has to do the dirty work, though, and in October 2021, a team of scientists help archaeologists to unlock the secrets of a 2,700-year-old block of human waste that was found in the Hallstatt mine, located in the Austrian Alps. The objective was to find out more about the diet of the people who worked in the mines during the Iron Age, and they were successful in that respect. The verdict is that the workers ate a lot of blue cheese and drank a lot of beer. The presence of so much beer came as a big surprise to the experts, who had previously thought that making beer through deliberate fermentation processes was beyond the knowledge of anyone living in Austria at the time. Aside from all that cheese and beer, the feces contained meat proteins, beans, cereals, and fruit. All in all, it sounds like a healthy, balanced diet, and we're not surprised that the workers wanted a beer after a hard day's mining. Corsica is a mountainous, volcanic island, well known for its beautiful coastal tourist resorts. It's less well known for its Bronze Age history, but perhaps that's about to change. In October 2021, archaeologists in the Corsican town of Sartène found an entire Bronze Age settlement hidden away on a hillside close to the Rizzanesi River. The project is ongoing, but 3 dwellings have been fully excavated so far, and there are signs that the village was heavily fortified. Archaeologists at the scene think that the village is about 4,000 years old. There are probably 12 large dwellings here in total. Several families would have lived together inside each dwelling. Despite the fortifications, it seems that this was a farming community. There's evidence that they cultivated cereals in the area around the settlement, and also had storage facilities to store meat for several months at a time after smoking it. The fortifications take the form of 2 stages of wooden palisades, an earthwork rampart, a ditch, and a dry stone wall full of small stones. These farmers were very keen to ensure that nobody got close enough to steal the fruits of their labor. In September 2021, archaeologists in China were working their way through 6 recently discovered sacrificial pits at the Sanxingdui Bronze Age archaeological site in Sichuan when they found a bronze artifact that's been described as a sacred tree. The unusual object is thought to be the work of the Shu culture, which existed in this part of China about 3,200 years ago, and is likely to have been responsible for the creation of the pits. The tree is such a complex object that extracting its broken trunk, branches, flowers, and ornaments from the pit took more than a month. The job was made harder by the fact that the tree was deliberately buried under several layers of heavy ivory. The significance or function of the tree is unknown, but very little is known about the Shu people in general. They had no written language that we know of, and the only thing we are really certain about their culture is that they were sun worshippers. The tree might be connected to that belief because trees grow towards the sun, but that's little more than a guess, and in all likelihood, a stretch. The sunken Egyptian city of Thonis Heraklion continues to give up its long-lost treasures a few pieces at a time. The city was once the largest port in the Mediterranean, but it sank for unknown reasons 2,200 years ago, and might even have been the inspiration for the myth of Atlantis. Thonis Heraklion was rediscovered in the year 2000, and marine archaeologists have been diving down to extract artifacts from it ever since. The most recent treasure roundup was reported in August 2021, and includes ancient Greek ceramics and, remarkably, several 2,400-year-old wicker baskets that still contain fruit. It's thought that the site that the discoveries came from is an old Greek funerary area known as a tumulus, so the fruits, which include grapes and dome fruit, were likely to have been a funerary offering rather than anything intended for human consumption. Archaeologists and historians continue to disagree over what ultimately caused the sinking of Thonis Heraklion, with some saying it was caused by a landslide and others feeling that the city simply became too heavy for the clay it was built atop. The region of Lower Germanic Limes, which is divided between Germany and the Netherlands, was awarded UNESCO World Heritage status in July 2021. The UNESCO listing is a formal acknowledgement of the area's status as the northernmost frontier of the ancient Roman Empire. As if to celebrate the occasion, a Roman road and canal were discovered in the area later that same month. A 2,000-year-old road, which runs along the side of a canal, was found in the Dutch town of Oosterhout on the banks of the Rhine. The start of the road isn't far from the site of an old 1st-century Roman military fort in Nijmegen. It's a wide road with drainage ditches on each side, indicating that it often became waterlogged. The layer of packed gravel that surfaces the road is still present. The canal is especially large, with a width of about 30 feet. It's also deeper than the average Roman canal, which might suggest that it was a major transport or trade route for the Romans. Only one end of the canal has been found so far, so archaeologists will continue to follow it along in the hope of finding out where it goes. There's a very strange object in the collection of the Onondaga Historical Society in Syracuse, New York, USA. The object is a depiction of an eagle perched on a globe, a symbol that's readily associated with the United States of America. What's strange about it is that the image is made out of human hair. We're not talking about any old human hair here, but the hair of some of the 19th century's most important politicians and their wives. The most famous hair in the artifact is that of President Abraham Lincoln and his wife, First Lady Mary Todd Lincoln. It was donated just 1 year before Lincoln was assassinated in 1864. The Society says that the bizarre artifact was created for the Metropolitan Sanitary Fair, a charity event in support of the United States Sanitary Commission to support sick and wounded military veterans. Quite how it ended up in their collection is unknown. Their records indicate that they've had it since 1910, but don't say who donated it to them or why. They've nicknamed it the Hairy Eagle, and as far as they know, it raised about $1,000 for the charity, so its creation would have to be considered a success. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and enjoy watching new videos on my channel. Thanks for watching, and see you soon!